classrooms. That's the next stop. I hope there are no bugs in there. They're actually on this part of the agenda. Great. So now we're going to do this part.
But again, what the structure of what? The surface, the atmosphere. That's what I want to get back to. So now we're using another tool to study the atmosphere. Do you remember the planetarium? Looking at things through a variety of lenses because it gives you different information. So now I'm going to use ultraviolet information, and that's going to give me a different view of the atmosphere, give me different information, and it's also going to allow me to study. Now, for the first time, I'm hearing about something besides Pluto. I'm hearing about Charon and the Kuiper Belt. I had the Kuiper Belt. So now I understand that new rock.
Yeah, 2. 10.
It's 10.1. Oh, 10.2, 10.1.
10.1, because that's really, really close.
We're doing a mapping simulation.
Ooh.
13.7.
13.7. 13.7. E3. 10. Wait a minute. Is that 10.2? 10.2. 10.2.
I know.
12.5.
Why they chose that to represent their landform. And they come up with all kinds of reasons. They might say, oh, it's because there were the most different numbers in that row to show the most different landforms. They might say, well, I chose that because all the numbers were consistent in that row to show that, oh, this was all one kind of landform. As long as they can say why they chose it, there's no right or wrong answer. And, of course, it also gives me a chance to reinforce graphing, which we need to do. Okay? And so we're not going to continue on with that, but one of the things that you can do is, if you really, we won't take the time today, you can actually go in and change the individual color of every single one of these by clicking on each one and changing the paint value. So you can literally go in and change disclosure and let you know what to expect. Okay, 11 more. Oh, I have extra pouch pennies. So if you're short, because the kids always put the pennies back in. Now only make one map. I see some people are making a second map. Only make one map. The other things are for you to write your own answers on. Everybody has, I have a T map in the center. But only make one T map. So you can write your answers on your own paper. Everyone's pennies do disappear. It says you can use buttons. I don't find that to be good because they have to stay. Legos will work. If you have a big stash of those old Lego blocks that nobody's using anymore, you can actually have the kids stack Legos. It just takes longer because you have to connect.
Can you take a picture of me, please?
Give me a thumbs up when your towers are stacked. So it asks you, keep in mind that 0 is sea level.
Sea level.
And,
So it's gonna be
and we use that as a relative term because on a planet that has no water, it would still be sea level. It's still where it's basically at 0. It's 0 is the surface. Okay? We use that as a relative term. And then, obviously, mountains being the highest thing. So, imagine we are on a planetary mission where we're going to land something on this unknown surface. The first question it asks, what is the tallest feature? 32, okay? And what do you think that probably represents? Some kind of a mountain, okay? Okay. So what does the landscape look like in the upper right-hand corner? So a valley would be surrounded hills, or in the case of like the moon or something, I might actually be looking at a crater where I have a slight dip from the surface. Okay, so it could be either a slight hill with a little bit of a depression, but it's definitely not mountain.
Interesting discussions, because previous to this activity, I had already shown the 5th graders that Pluto and Charon, like I showed you guys, are basically a double planet. So they wanted to keep them separate and not use the two. But right now, they're both working. So I'm going to give each team a data set. So you're going to find a place to spread out all your images, write down what you see, compare, contrast, and then I want a nice definition of dwarf planet. So everyone, there's 3 different data sets, A, B, C, and D. So
Series is okay, but where? Do you remember what she said? Where series?
I will post the data sets on, did I send you the data sets?
I don't know. You have to.
That's the one between Mars and Jupiter.
How much
I
time are
don't
you
remember.
giving?
I think should actually 5 minutes and we'll see where we are. Yeah, 5 minutes is all you should need. You probably want to spread them out and spread them all out.
Yvonne.
Because otherwise you won't know what's just characteristic of Pluto and what's just characteristic of Ceres.
We have data set B.
You gotta give yourself some room. Okay.
Add images of Pluto in series. Venn diagram. And ultimately,
All right, ladies
start to
and
define what a
gentlemen.
dwarf planet is.
Hopefully by now you've at least written down some characteristics. And I went to some tables and we pointed out a characteristic, but some people didn't have that data. And I like how a couple tables were like, oh, can we use some of the information you told me earlier? Nope, you're using your data. So, do your pictures tell you anything about size? Not really. I think
There's no scale.
they have one that's got a little scale on it, but that's about it. Most do not. Does it tell you anything about their orbit? No. So I don't have any of that data. So right now, I'm just asking you to make a definition based on characteristics. Now what I do with the little kids, sorry, my 5th graders, is I said, okay, take a good look at this. You've got characteristics here that were just for Pluto. Some over here just for Ceres. But if they're both dwarf planets, where are you going to go to get your definition?
In the center.
From the center. So some of them, if they had run out of time, I just told them to stick a little arrow and point it down there. So those could be your characteristics. So I'm curious, you did have a definition. So what was your definition?
We said they're smaller than the regular planets, and they lack some criteria to be called such, just like this, it doesn't have an atmosphere.
All right, now, their team